What's up, everybody? If you're wondering what's playing behind me, it's my own video. Yeah, somebody's gotta watch them, right? We are gonna be going over some of the finales of my favorite shows from the 2000s. I already have a big plan to go over all of them, like Sweet Life, Hannah Montana, like all the ones that I've really liked, but I think it's time to start with one of the more interesting ones, which is Wizards of Waverly Place. Disney Channel's really interesting when they did their series to movies, because it was never like quite at the end or quite at the beginning like Jimmy Neutron was or SpongeBob was supposed to be. So I'm not surprised that, like Hannah Montana, the movie was placed right before the last season. I mean, I don't understand why they think that's helpful. It definitely is confusing to have a plot that's so big it justifies a movie, but not big enough that it takes over the rest of the show, and not big enough that it doesn't have lasting impact over the rest of the show. Like, for me, that's hard. It's hard to press the reset button and go back to a sitcom after you had a big cinematic experience. What's up, everybody? It's Johnny 2000, covering all 2000s media, from movie, TV, video games, and so much more. We've been thinking about the wizarding competition since it was mentioned in season 1 of Wizards of Waverly Place, and it's always been this kind of like end game for Wizards. Like, we knew that this was going to be where it ended. And if anything, they did it in the movie a little bit prematurely, because we expected it to be at the very end of the series, but it came up earlier in order to resolve the plot. Apparently that was the only way to finish off that plot. So now that we're jumping back into the final episode, it's almost like, what are we going to expect? Like, how is this going to play out? Especially if we're used to this huge cinematic experience. Knowing that that was the end of something else, and this is going to be the end of the whole series, how are they going to match up with it? It's almost impossible not to compare the two, and that kind of makes me sad, because you shouldn't be comparing it to one another. You should be excited that it's going to be doing something new. But you know what? Series finales for kid shows must be so hard, because it's like you only have 60 to 80 episodes to really establish the full show as it is. So this is the first time I've actually seen this. I watched all of Wizards up until season 3, and then I stopped watching after the movie, I believe. So this is going to be really fun for me to jump back in. I definitely think it'll inspire me to watch the rest of the series and maybe continue doing my retrospectives, but only if you guys really show a lot of interest in that. I don't really want to waste my time too much, but I love Alex, Justin, and Max. It's one of the funniest Disney Channel shows ever, and it's so down to earth despite being about wizards. My expectations are it's probably not going to be as good as the movie, so I want to keep my mind open to think that maybe it's going to be good in its own right. Maybe it's going to give the series a very respectable ending, and I'm excited to see how that's going to play out. So without further ado, let's dive in to the final episode of Wizards of Waverly Place, the 2-part episode. Okay, so we're at a dinner that Alex made with completely no magic, which is a surprise because Alex is known to abuse magic. So they're interrupted when Headmaster Crumbs appears, because apparently the selfish act activates the Russo family wizard competition. I don't know why her specifically making dinner would have done that, but whatever, I guess.
All she did was open up a jar of spaghetti sauce and made pizza wrong.
Take what you can get.
So they're sprung into the family competition, which we know from the feature film kind of what it's going to look like. We have a little bit of expectations here. I definitely was not expecting a sitcom set with a game show-like setup. It's a little jarring, to say the most. So round 1 of the competition is a trivia round. Everybody's like joking about how Max isn't gonna get it. Like, Jerry assumes it's gonna be Alex. Teresa thinks it's gonna be Justin. It's all over the place here. And there's bleachers. It's like a high school football game. Round 1 is the competition round, in which questions about magic and spells are asked. When they start the competition, we see this guy from Everybody Loves Raymond. I'm not sure if you guys have seen that show, but he's the MC here, and he's really funny. Before they get on stage, Jerry makes the kids promise to each other that they would stick together no matter what. No matter how this goes, they would be there for one another.
Not to me, to yourselves.
Promise.
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 So Max gets the first answer right, but Justin tries to correct him, and oh my god, Justin, really? Right now? He's kind of annoying. Juliet and Mason, you know, the significant others of Alex and Justin, show up too, and it's even more like a football game as they're getting ready to cheer on the competition.
Max, you know that button is not a microphone and we haven't started the questions yet, right? The answer to that is no, I did not know. We did not start the question.
It's an interesting concept of pitting siblings against each other, kind of like a chicken fight, or putting animals in a cage and making them wrestle. Like, it feels a little weird in that sense. It's really hard for me not to compare this to the movie, and I cannot get over it. Like, I wish the set was a little bit more realistic, because the one that was in the movie was just so intense. You can tell they were on location, you could tell that everything was high stakes, high energy, and then here we're at a game show. It's hard to get on the realistic side, but I'm trying to keep my mind open here. Master Crumb is really funny. I feel like if he was in the movie or had some part of realistic connection or association with that environmental location, it could have really impacted this set a lot better. It could have been like, okay, we're associating him with the quality of the competition, and now this is another one. But since that is so separate, like the movie reality from Professor Crumb, it feels like this is a set. I wish they spent time in this so far establishing character flaws and stakes. It feels like they kind of just jumped right into, oh, there's going to be a competition, and we didn't really get time to understand that. It feels like they kind of relied on the entire series to feel like a first act. Like, usually we get to see everybody's main problem, their goal, but I feel like it's a little lazy to lean on the entire series to be like, oh, like, you guys know the flaws, you know this, like, let's just jump to the competition, let's get to the action. And I'm not sure if that's a fair way to set up storytelling devices like that. At least this is in HD. I mean, I'm so tired of seeing those bars on the side of the screen. It looks at really high quality. And then the B plot, we have Harper and Zeke, the humans, and they're hanging out in the wizard lair, and Zeke accidentally turns purple. So we're back at the competition, and during the second round, Harper and Zeke appear. The purple substance on him actually causes one of the griffins that Alex is working on to kidnap him and Harper and fly away. Oh my god, this is terrifying.
This is probably a good time to go to commercial. We might be right back.
Only really Alex is concerned about them. I don't know why Justin and Max have no empathy here, but she's the one pushing to actually do something about it. Okay, so it seems like everybody's a little out of their characters, but I mean, I appreciate that Alex is showing selflessness. Like, it's really important. Like, this whole episode, I really hope they emphasize her likable sides, especially since this is the last time we're probably going to see them, as it's a two-part finale. So Alex manages to convince Justin and Max to all sacrifice their timeouts for a full 45-minute timeout in order to go help their friends.
All right, come on, let's go.
I hate how Justin hesitates on this one. Like, Justin, you're kind of cold in this. I mean, maybe they're setting up for him not to win in that instance, because it's like, why would you be so hesitant here? But then they eventually give in and they decide to go. So they head over to this really rocky, deserted landscape, and it's actually kind of beautiful. It definitely reminds me of the movie. It does a really good job at looking realistic and not just green screen like it usually would. I'm really happy that the flying carpets are incorporated too. Like, that's a good throwback. And I don't know, the cinematography here just really works for me. I'm happy with how this is panning out. Oh wait, and then they're on a set again. Okay, so now all these rocks and being on the set definitely takes me out of it. But whatever. I'm gonna excuse it because so far it's beat my expectations in how good it is so far. It's not like this TV show isn't given care, but I feel like the issue is this should have been a movie. Like, this could have been a sequel or the first movie, but unfortunately that's not the cards we were dealt. They find Harper in this giant nest, and it's so gross. And Justin is okay with leaving behind Zeke, which is like, what the heck, Justin? Why are you so unlikable in this section?
Guys, there is no time. We'll come back for him later.
No, I am not leaving without Zeke.
Harper, I was just being a nice guy. There was no coming back for Zeke.
But then Zeke eventually does come out, and he reveals that he clog danced his way out of the griffin's stomach. Ew, what? The griffin comes back and attacks all three of them. So Justin, Alex, and Max have to work together to stop it.
You guys know my favorite distraction, right?
Once they're finally able to save their friends, stop the griffin, they come back to the competition site and it's vastly empty. It turns out that time ran out. Like, it's all done. Professor Crumbs comes back.
The competition is over.
Awesome, who won?
No way, we called a timeout.
Which expired. That says the competition for you. You are hereby disqualified.
And it suddenly gets really sad. Like, I feel like it was very cheery up until this point, And it took a really dark turn to see that, like, all three main characters would not be keeping their powers. And Professor Crumbs even says, like, this is the last time I will ever see you.
But the Russo family line of wizards will end forever.
Professor Crumbs.
Your wands, please.
The music works really well here. It feels like this is definitely an emotional scene, and while it would have been better in a film format, I definitely think they did a good job at capturing the emotions here. But that's the thing, if Crumbs was in the movie, that might help a little bit more, because the fact that we're never going to see this man again is really sad, but it relies on you having known him throughout the whole series. If you're just jumping in, like, it's kind of like, why is this guy so impactful to them? And I wish he had a little bit more significance, like, not like a main character, but at least as, like, important as Harper, or having an inspirational moment with him, so we actually care specifically that he is not going to be here anymore. So the guy who wrote the Hannah Montana movie, the Wizards of Waverly Place movie, Dan Berenson. He wrote the movie. I don't know why he couldn't do the finale, because he did a phenomenal job on that. I really wish a feature film movie writer put this in. I mean, but that's just me trying to turn this into a movie. I get it. It's a TV show. I'm trying to accept that fact. So we end on everybody kind of being really depressed, and that is a good way to end the first part. And that's where we finally get to the actual final episode of Wizards of Waverly Place. So Justin and Max are super angry, Alex feels super guilty, and they're all blaming her for it, when I would kind of be mad at the friends.
Alex just cut down our family tree and burned it.
I told you that I thought we would make it back in time.
Come on, Justin. Now's not the time to point fingers, honey.
Suddenly, like, the world is starting to erupt, and the lair closes, and it actually disappears. The lair's entrance even turns back into a fridge. Like, and this is really depressing. Like, I love how intense this is getting. Obviously better for a movie, but, you know, whatever. To think this is the final episode of the show, having all these really depressing things happen is really exciting. Well, I mean, you know what I mean. Not exciting, but it feels like something really impactful is about to happen. It feels like things could end this way. Like, there's a lot more at stake than a season finale, than anything else possible, and I love that it's working in that sense. And it's really leading us to believe that it might not, and it does a great job at that. I even feel bad for Jerry, who is so heartbroken when his kids break up, essentially.
I know none of this worked out like you hoped, but I need you to get past it. Put your differences aside and work together.
The resentment is really fun. Even Max is mad. I mean, it's not even in a humorous sense. It's just like, everybody's just genuinely mad. And apparently weeks even go by when Harper and Alex are walking down the exterior of the substation, and Alex doesn't want to see Max or Justin, and Justin and Max don't want to see Alex. And it's really sad because Max has always kind of been a bystander. He never really took anything super against Alex, but now it feels like they're all divided. I wish this is kind of where the whole thing started. Like, I wish this whole special started with this. That way it could lead to something when we got to the second act and it be the wizard family competition. The dad comes out and actually puts up a sign that says he's closing down the sub shop. All the kids are like, what? Why would you do that?
Dad, what's happening?
Selling the business.
What? Why?
We're not much of a family anymore.
And it's like, obviously, you guys aren't even friends anymore. Nobody's gonna, you know, like, this isn't a family shop anymore. And the weight of everything hits Alex. Alex wants to be the only optimistic one, so she actually starts unpacking the boxes and is like, no, I'm gonna make sure this still happens. You know, the fact that they don't know who they are outside of being wizards is so, like, they're trying to find out who they really are. They essentially believe they have no purpose because of not being wizards, and that is really interesting. I like how the scenes aren't really ending on jokes, they're ending on more, like, character-based moments, and that's kind of like a feature film-like thing, so I wish they just committed to it, but whatever. So the kids have to learn how to work together through this sub shop, and like they're trying to reopen it, but Alex and Justin obviously are completely at odds and fight each other, and it's really sad. But it kind of reminds me of the first season when they were so against each other that it was just so hard for them to work together, and having them fight is just a nice callback to the first season. Slowly, Justin and Max start to act a lot more caring toward Alex, and it seems like they're rebuilding their relationship along with the sub shop, and it's very meaningful. The musical montage is so endearing, and it like brings back all these season 1 vibes. Seeing Justin be so cold toward Alex and Max is like really cool because he is such a complex character. Like, when he's mad, he is so flawed, and when he's a good person, it's like so earned, and I like that. He's not just a comedic relief character. Imagine if Josh were David Henrie's part, Josh Peck. That would be really funny.
I can't believe how busy we were.
Yeah, Alex had so much going on. She made a sandwich with peanut butter on the outside of the bread.
No, I did that on purpose. That's what a 40-year-old gets for ordering off the kids' menu.
Alex actually apologizes to the family, and it's so meaningful.
I'm really sorry for messing up the wizard competition.
Suddenly, they are whisked back to the competition again. Oh god, this set. I love how they're warped with the booth, and Harper didn't come along. Like, if Teresa came along, why didn't Harper come along? And how did they get that out of there? Apparently, they revealed that the Griffin was a test that tests the siblings' bond, specifically for the Russos.
Who do I know you from?
What? Okay, so if this was a test, why did it go on for multiple weeks? Was it really that important? Apparently, the Griffin was supposed to take Professor Crumb.
But apparently, he was hungry for something a little fresher, and he went for your colorful friend instead.
I wish we set up a little bit earlier that all these games would be more psychological than necessarily magic. I like that it's focused on magic but gets psychological, but I still feel like we could have leaned into that a little bit more than the game show aspect. But hey, there's still time. It's exciting to come back to this game show knowing that their relationship is so on the rocks. Like, these guys could stop being friends at any moment. Like, they've just started getting their relationship back on track. It feels like there's going to be a lot more at stake. So Alex starts to show promise of winning as they start to go through the final test. It actually shows them scenes from the former episodes, and like, it's kind of asking them which spells they used, and it's really cool because Alex, of course, knows all of this because she made the most mistakes. And it's kind of a metaphor for the people who fail more often are always the ones who end up more successful because they learn, they grow, and Justin really has a tough time dealing with this. Like, he even gets an answer wrong. I'm really worried about these guys being siblings after this. Like, I don't even care who's the family wizard anymore. Finally, they're given one last competition, and they're all dressed up in their nice wardrobe, and I actually really like the purple. It looks good. They run off, and they're back into another vast landscape, but it kind of looks more like the one they fought the Griffin in, so I'm not super excited to see it again. I wish it was like a desert or like something unique, you know? There's a large path of rocks, and Max goes first with Justin following, and then finally Alex surpasses all of them and gets to the next section. It's interesting because Alex is doing such a good job, and we're actually really worried about her losing. Finally, the last part of this challenge is this giant labyrinth. Oh my god, this maze looks horrifying. I can't believe how long it lasts. I'm like having trouble who we're following here. Like,
Can you guys be quiet? I'm in a maze.
they definitely split the characters evenly across this episode, which is more of a television thing. Like, if this were a movie, we would have to follow Justin, have to follow Alex. Like, it's a little bit more structured in who we're rooting for, but the fact that like it's very evenly placed is kind of exciting. I am curious who's gonna win. Justin gets trapped inside one of the dead ends, and it's terrifying. Honestly, if you put me in this, I would die. I don't even know if I would look for a little bit, I would try to get my way out, but like, honestly, like, seeing so many dead ends, I would just sit down and accept my fate. Okay, so after this tiring, exhausting maze, they finally get out, and surprise, it's Justin. Well, it's not really a surprise. We know he's the most responsible one, but I guess we expected Alex to win since she's like kind of the main character. Justin is about to be crowned the full wizard. It's nice to see the siblings accept this fact. Like, we're so worried about their relationship, and it feels very fulfilling that it's still safe. But he reveals that he didn't deserve it.
What's he doing?
What do you mean?
Justin, don't do this.
I have to.
Because back when they were at the last section of the competition, Justin got stuck and Alex was about to win, but she decided to go back and help him. And the three stopped right at the exit door before the competition won. I love this moment where it's just them standing outside the door. It's like, it didn't even matter how much obstacles they just went through. They're all evenly played here. And so she let Justin win. Justin is caring and says that she deserved to win. And I was worried that Justin would get really mad at her, but the fact that he's the one to claim that Alex deserves it makes it all feel worth it. Professor Crumbs finally crowns Alex the full wizard, and we feel bad for Justin, until Professor Crumbs reveals that he is going to be leaving WizTech and needs somebody to fulfill his spot.
And because of your integrity and knowledge, I want you to take my place.
But I'm not a wizard.
Asking Justin to do that, and he gives him back his powers as full wizard. And they finally give Max the sub shop since everybody else has gotten something and everybody feels bad.
So Alex and Justin get to be wizards, and I get the family substation. That's awesome! Guess what, guys? I get the substation!
And this is where it ends. Whew, okay. So that was definitely a better episode than I thought. I think part 1 was a little laggy, and I spent a little too much time trying to accept the fact that the movie wasn't the final thing, which I know they never anticipated that being, but for some reason that experience, the way it was presented, just set the expectations so high, and I do feel like my expectations were somewhat met. There were definitely no disappointments during this special. I mean, we could have did a little bit better with the sets and coinciding the movie with the series, but for what they were given and how they made it work, I was very impressed. Not only did they still go out of the bounds of the actual set, but all the characters had a meaningful conclusion to where they were going. Like, nobody really got the short end of the stick, despite the fact that it's literally meant to have one winner. Like, the wizard competition is only allowed to crown one person, and it seems like in most scenarios the audience wouldn't be happy because we've grown to love and care about all these characters. I definitely give this whole thing a 8 out of 10. 8.5 out of 10 actually. The movie I give a 10 out of 10, but 8.5 out of 10 is great for a TV show finale. There's a lot of finales that have done really bad, or shows that have never even gotten a proper finale, like Sunny with a Chance or Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. And I'm just so glad that the series feels so complete from episode 1 to the 29th episode of season 4. Wizards of Waverly Place had such a successful run from the beginning up until the very end. There's no season where we're like, oh, it fell off then, it did this. And just because we're saying that the movie was its peak doesn't mean saying the rest isn't amazing and incredible, actually. So I would highly advise you guys to revisit this because it is so nice. And the idea of establishing identities outside of the job you were given this entire show, like being a wizard, is just so intense, and it really manages to pay off in a fulfilling way. I really liked the finale of Wizards of Waverly Place. Now, if you guys want to see any more videos, just let me know in the comments, and I'm curious how you feel about this one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I'm Johnny2000, covering the TV, film, and music of the 2000s. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.